All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Beautiful Chicks Jurisdiction podcast, Season 1, Episode 1. I'm your host, Cathode Ray Jepson. I'm joined here by Bexy.
Hi, everyone.
And in honor of the 30th edition of our oldest and most storied book club, the Sophisticated Homosexual Literary Circle, we're going to be giving you the stack rank of every single edition of every book we've read. And it's important to note that what I'm going to be stack ranking here is not the books. This is how good the book club was, not how good the book was.
Okay, that's good because I didn't read many of these, so that will help guide my opinion.
Excellent. I've read most of them. I'm going to need some help from the chat for some of them. But anyway, let's...
Yes, friends of the pod, feel free to chime in.
Exactly. Although if you do it all at once, it will be an incomprehensible mess, which will be great. It's very fitting for the most chaotic books and literature Discord in the world. So, taking it in chronological order, from the top, the first book club we ever attempted was William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying. Easy, very, very easy F-tier book club.
I wasn't part of that. Didn't even want to mess with that.
Yeah.
When was this? Cathode? Was this in like 2023?
Yeah, this was like very shortly after we launched the Discord. There were like 5 people reading it. Most people's reaction to this idea was like, I read this in high school.
Yay.
I'm not reading it again. Like 5 people were reading it. Everybody was too shy to say anything. Yeah, I have the official records pulled up here. Except I didn't even record.
So you answered the subpoena, deuces tecum. That's good.
Exactly. The next one was in June.
Wait, I want to note that Iris, one of our OGs, states that it was not even in the official book club.
Yeah.
And there was no voting. So this was probably decided on by DA or pancakes.
No.
And then another conclusion we can draw from that is that there were no bitches in the book club at this time and scarcely any in the server.
Yeah,
It was Dick.
It was Dick? Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, absolutely no bitches in the book club. Anyway, easy F tier, we're moving on. So fortunately, Iris came to our rescue and organized the first book club with voting. As I recall, you could nominate like 20 books each, and we voted by a Google form with no verification on multiple votes. Cheating was highly encouraged. There were hundreds of thousands of votes cast in our server of like 100 people.
Did someone get a bot?
Oh yeah, no, everybody was botting. The winner with I think like 300,000 votes was Tayeb Salih's A Season of Migration to the North. This was an S tier book club. Shout out to Iris for generating all the hype with the ridiculous voting mechanism. That was a fantastic idea. The book itself is really great. Yeah, it's a really good book. It's kind of like a reverse Heart of Darkness, where instead of like the English people going to the Congo to extract the gold and hearing the horror stories about that, it's a Sudanese man hearing from his friend who went to England to extract a degree from Cambridge, and also while he was there, take revenge for colonialism by having sex with as many white women as possible. Excellent book.
So if you were to recommend based on Hurlitz's recommendation algorithm, you might say transnational literature.
Exactly.
Subverting colonial narratives.
Yeah,
Like people bad.
Yeah, I think like post-colonialism has been a theme. Yeah, also very important was the rule that we frequently break of no capital C classics. because nobody wants to feel like they're in high school again.
And yet we're doing Ulysses next month.
And yet
that's another conversation.
And yet, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by the June selection for the Sophisticated Homosexual Literary Circle, James Joyce's Ulysses. Yeah, that was a Season of Migration was a Pancakes recommendation. Won't be the last one. For those of you who are not in on the lore, Pancakes was the former server owner who a few months ago had a mysterious crash out and deleted every single message in the history of the server and also all of his online profiles ever. Pancakes, if you're out there, I hope you're well, but also fuck you for doing that.
I mean, no comment.
Moving on. Yeah, he's still alive, by the way. This is known. Anyway, next book was Chiu Miaojin's Notes of a Crocodile. This was a pretty good one. This one was actually nominated by Chikorita, rest in peace, who was banned before the book club even started for being extremely annoying. Pretty good book. This is like a slightly auto-fictional novel about a young Taiwanese lesbian in college and her romantic exploits, kind of interspersed with these little vignettes of her imaginary self, which is a crocodile trying adorably to perform daily human tasks and being under
that sounds good. I, full disclosure, did not read this one. Should I?
Yeah, it's a pretty good book. I think this was...
Okay.
I would say this was a
B tier. It sounds like an A or a B.
Yeah. It's a B.
Judging a book vibes.
Yeah, for full disclosure, for C tier, we're saying is average. So this was above average. Anyway.
This is not a true rating system.
Yeah, it's entirely vibes based. Yeah, tragic lesbians will be another theme of this book club, by the way. Moving on.
And on the server.
And on the server. And in life, really. Moving on, third edition was The Dwarf by Per Lagerkvist. This was an Iris selection, which is basically concerns a kind of court jester in Renaissance Italy. He's a dwarf, and basically the entire book is the dwarf going, I'm so evil. It was a fun book. It's not my favorite book that I've ever read, but like very entertaining.
Honestly, I chose not to read this one because of like a misinterest reason. It just felt kind of like an ugly boy book. I know that it was recommended by a beautiful woman, but skipped it.
That's fair. I think I'm going to put this one in
It is an ugly boy book.
It is literally a book about an ugly boy.
That's a specific genre to me. It's like it can be about an ugly boy, or it can just have the vibes of an ugly boy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm putting that one in C tier. Yeah, reading school book when you're 13 and Swedish. Yeah, yeah, thanks for that, Zero Books Red. Needs a producer to ship us headphones. I have headphones, but if you want to be able to hear Bexy on YouTube later, then I can't use them. Because I have no idea what I'm doing. It is going to sound like ass. Next book, V.S. Naipaul in a Free State. Another post-colonial book. This was another Pancake selection. As I recall, it's like 3 or 4 kind of short stories with a frame story kind of on the theme of existing in the post-colonial world. There's one about there's one really hilarious one about a poor guy from India who moves to Washington D.C. to be basically a menial laborer to a politician and just goes through an absolutely ridiculous series of humiliations. Yeah, Naipaul's fun. He's a really good writer. He's a Trinidadian, I think. He's a Trinidadian man of Indian descent who lived in Britain, became a British citizen, or maybe you're just automatically a British citizen if you're from Trinidad, and also lived in Africa for a time, so had kind of obviously an interesting sort of
colonialism mentioned.
Yes, colonialism mentioned, had kind of an interesting sort of perspective on that. Also, kind of interesting is that he was a lifelong Tory and super racist. So, yeah, not a nice guy. Kind of makes the books more interesting, to be honest. But yeah, super asshole. Pretty good book. Pretty good discussion. We're gonna say B tier. I really enjoyed that one.
Also skipped it. So I guess the farm opinion from everyone else. Iris loved this one. Yeah. Iris, any other takes? What did you love about it?
Iris is typing.
Friends of the pod, tap in. It was funny and insightful. Okay.
Yeah.
Heard that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. By the way, the chat is really falling down on roasting me so far, except for Zero Books Red calling out my lack of headphones. Do better, guys. Next one was Two Serious Ladies by, what's her name? Jane Bowles. This one was really fun. Really enjoyed the book. Yes, again, sort of semi-tragic lesbians.
Full disclosure, I'm going into an elevator, so we're losing our co-host for a few minutes.
All right, I'll talk more. So yeah, we have more tragic lesbians. This is two women who are kind of two avatars of the author, one of whom goes to Panama for sex tourism reasons, and the other of whom moves to Long Island and falls in love, with a obvious mafioso. This is very much, Iris, the type of book that destroyed Pancake's brain. We also got one of my favorite stickers for this book. Somebody dropped the sticker in the chat. Yeah, it's very strange. It's kind of strange in a Harold Pinter kind of way, where all the characters are recognizably humans, but don't really talk or act or react to anything in the way that you would really expect. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an A tier book club. The sticker for In a Free State, which we didn't mention, is the two guys covered in chalk dust, naked, walking along the road. That's an all-timer as well. Moving on, Blow Up and Other Stories by Julio Cortázar, which I very embarrassingly pushed very hard for us to read. It was not good. It's kind of a product of this time in the 1960s, I guess, when everybody was like, whoa, metafiction, so mind-blowing. Oh, he's reading the book, and then the character from the book comes into the room with it. That's so whoa. I will say for it that one of the stories, The End of the Game, that one's really good. That's the one about like the little girls who have this game where they have to make a pose for the train that goes past their house every day at a certain time, and they kind of fall in love with somebody through the windows in the train. That's a really great short story. The rest of them are pretty mid. Yes, the Borges hatred comes out. I really want Borges to not be...
What the heck? Oh, you guys are haters of Borges? Like the...
Oh, don't even get me started. I hate Borges. I really want him to not be the best...
Wow.
The best Argentine short story writer. However,
are you saying Borges?
Yeah, I didn't even understand. It's definitely Borges.
Yeah, that's not his name.
Oh, well, there's the roasting. Borges? I don't know.
Yeah, that's him.
All right, well.
Also, you motherfucker, I knew you were going to fucking...
Jorge Luis Borges.
Yeah, well.
I think it's anti-Latino. Yeah. Kevin, open the fucking door! I didn't bring keys.
Borges. Yeah. Anyway, not great. I wanted to like it. I didn't. Nobody liked it. Moving on. Untouchable by Mulk Raj Anand. Our contribution to Dalit literature, which a very strange person recently came into the server to accuse us of being racist against Dalits. So fuck you, that guy. We read a book about Dalits. Unfortunately, the book was bad. It's kind of good as kind of a piece of fiction journalism. Like, the point of the book is like to educate audiences on like, this is the experience of being a casteless person in India in the 40s. So that's effective. It's effective in that way. Unfortunately, as a novel, it's just kind of really strange and weird. And there's like a whole, the incest vibes. There's like, the main character clearly has a thing for his sister. There is like so much focus on her breasts and how beautiful she is and all that, and then she gets groped and doesn't appear in the book ever again.
Ew. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, weird. Again, I obviously joined at the right time in the book.
Yeah, so much emphasis on his sister's boobs. It was weird. I think this is a D tier book. Moving on to our inaugural and so far only big book winter, with Possession.
There we go.
Yeah, so first of all,
one of my favorite books.
This was a great book. I think this has to be an S tier. First of all, if only because we...
This is S tier, S in every way.
Absolutely. First of all, because we killed the author. Like, we chose this book and AS immediately died. So if we take a life, then it has to go in S tier. Yeah, it's a really great book. Who else did we kill, Iris? There
was a lot of participation, and it's become maybe one of my favorite books I've ever read. I really, really loved it.
Yeah, it's a great book. It is the story in parallel of two Victorian poets who have an affair. I think they are based on Robert Browning and Christina Rossetti. Because those two poets don't exist in the book. And in parallel, the love affair of two academics who are trying to uncover evidence of this affair in the 20th century. Also an amazing sticker.
So romantic.
It's really good. Also an amazing sticker for this one. This is my favorite sticker ever. Somebody dropped that one in the chat. Yeah, absolutely an S tier book club.
I mean, it also cannot be understated how impressive it was, all the fucking poetry she wrote that was so convincing.
Oh, yeah, it's like, AS by it, it's like clearly a virtuoso performance. It's like, okay, I'm going to set myself the challenge of, this guy is supposed to be one of the best poets of the Victorian era, and I'm going to include a bunch of his poetry, which I'm going to write myself, and it's pretty convincing.
It's like the opposite of when you watch like something that's like an HBO show and they show like a character who's a genius, but then their art is kind of mid. Like, she pulled out all the stops.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, if you're writing a book about a genius, you make them like a genius musician, so you can just like say in the book, like, the music was really good. She's like, nah, I can handle this. Yeah, great book. Loved it. Anyway, moving on. Kanjue's Barefoot Doctor, another mid at best cathode selection. I thought it was
I was good. Fucking bored, NGL, but it's very lovely.
Yeah, it's kind of the magical realism autobiography version of the author's experience being a barefoot doctor, which is a more or less untrained doctor that was deployed in rural China in like the 60s, I want to say, to meet the need of, like, basically there are a whole lot of people in China and they had limited ability to train doctors, so they had to make do with what they had. The book itself is kind of boring and nice.
I give it a C, to be honest, or maybe a B minus.
No, I don't know. I think C is generous, to be honest.
But if you think about it, it's kind of prescient now that we're in the Maha Make America Healthy Again era, and we're trying to sort of.
Oh no, we lost Bexy. Sounded like she was making a really good point. I'm sad.
She got made healthy.
I didn't hear that at all. Who nominated Untouchable? I think it was Twigs, Iris. Anyway, that's all I want to say about Barefoot Doctor. We're going to move on to Anthills of the Savannah, and then we're going to circle back to Bexy's point because it sounded good. Anthills of the Savannah.
Oh, I got cut off. I got cut off by a phone call from work. I was saying that we're making America healthy again by shedding light on holistic medicine and undermining big pharma when we read things like Barefoot Doctor.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought the subtext of Barefoot Doctor that was kind of interesting was that like they are treating everybody with basically traditional Chinese medicine and herbs and acupuncture. But I thought the subtext for me was that it doesn't actually work, and they're just like being
no, of course,
people while they die.
It's absolutely not a Maha book. Well, it kind of is, though, right? You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what her thoughts are about whether it's good.
It doesn't work, but it makes a culture.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, Anthills of the Savannah by Chinua Achebe. I think this was a Tom selection. I thought it was fine. It's kind of a political thriller about the collapse of a government of a fictional African nation. Chinua Achebe was a political figure in Liberia, I think. So it's probably based on that. It's kind of interesting.
They spawned one of our best fights, in my opinion, in the Discord too, about whether Chinua Achebe has the right to create hip hop music.
I missed that entirely. I'm bumping it up a tier.
Oh, you didn't? Well, remember, I talked about how hip hop is Black American.
Oh, yes.
We were reading this at the time. Pancake said, would you tell Chinua Achebe he's not Black? So this book was really great to use as a weapon, a white weapon of liberalism.
Yeah, you know what? That gets bumped up a tier just for that. B tier.
Woke weaponry book.
Exactly. Moving on. The Woman in the Dunes by Kobo Abe. This is a pretty good book. This to me,
I kind of fucked with it. I kind of liked it. I was really lost in this little world and feeling all sleepy and horny, and like I wanted to be sitting in sand and have like sand on my breasts and my noble hips or something.
Yeah. So this is the story of the book is that it's a Japanese amateur entomologist who goes into a desert of the kind that I'm pretty sure does not exist in Japan and gets stuck in a village in a hole that's filled with sand and is forced to shovel out the sand from the village until he dies.
Don't forget about the sand woman that he's trapped with.
Of course. And
she's kind of she embodies all of his psychosexual frustration. Was she even real?
I don't know. Was she? And yeah, lots of deeply unpleasant sex scenes with a lot of sand in them. Yeah, I like this one. This to me, this in my head is.
I thought they were pleasant. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I got horny from this book. It's a spicy book, so I would bump it for spiciness. It's basically romantasy when you think about it.
Basically. All right, this can be an A tier.
Yes. What do you mean shaming my audio? I'm like, yeah, I'm using AirPods. Sorry, none of you other people are brave enough to podcast.
Yeah. Vexy's audio is coming from
I don't have
AirPods.
a battle station.
Yeah, Vexy's audio is coming from her AirPods through my laptop speakers into my laptop microphone. So when this hits YouTube, it's gonna sound amazing.
Oh no. Okay, maybe I'll switch. I don't even know how to switch. I don't have another microphone.
That's all good.
Kevino, give me a microphone. Okay, we're gonna fix the setup. Continue.
It's still gonna sound bad. Moving on. Hassan Kafani's Men in the Sun and Other Palestinian Stories. I didn't read this one in chat. Was it good? Banger.
Beautiful. I
Excellent.
loved it.
I bought this and then I just never read it. I still have it somewhere in my house.
Well, it was interesting because I was reading the 100 Years War on Palestine, and then it was referenced a lot, and I had kind of skipped it for book club. So then I went back and read it, and it was like that much richer. So highly recommend both to all.
So what are we saying? A tier?
I think so. I think it's an A.
All right, we're giving Men in the Sun an A. Moving on to our very first April Fool's book club, when I solicited ordinary book club nominations for everyone, and everybody voted on it, and then I just announced that we were reading Mistborn: The Final Empire. It's really bad. It was almost too bad to be the April Fool's book club.
I really hated it.
It's so bad. Yeah, Iris pieced out after 60 pages. I read the entire thing. I never DNF a book. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I did a read.
That's really strong.
I did a read along in VC, and I did like kind of like an audio book of the 5 first chapters, but I couldn't move on because it was that bad.
Yeah, it's really terrible. I'm not even going to recount the plot. But Brandon
Something that surprised me hearing about the plot from you all is that there's a lot of slavery and rape, but it's like you described it as set dressing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
even though he's too Mormon to have fucking and like real political stuff, he's not too Mormon to use a good old fashioned like backdrop of terror.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
Amy says there are feet.
there
As
are
in
feet.
a foot description scene, or are there feet on the cover?
No, she's barefoot on the cover. I don't know why.
Oh, right. That's inspired a lot of people to get into Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, I think this is a genius decision on his publisher's part, to be honest, because I don't recall her ever being described as barefoot in the book. I think the man, I think his publisher saw a niche that needed to be filled and put feet pics on the cover. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, like one thing that comes out is like one thing in the book is like Brando has like accused what's his name, G.R.R. Martin, of being like grimdark for the sake of it. And in this book, like one of the pressing concerns for the protagonist Vin is that she doesn't get sold into prostitution. And then later we learn that if one of the nobles has sex with one of the ska, the chattel slavery class, then by law they are executed. So that's
what?
That's not really prostitution anymore. That's like rent a rape and murder victim. And this is just kind of going on in the background of the book. Yes, also they're called ska, like the terrible, terrible musical genre.
Wow, that's disrespect to all the rude boys out there. Pretend you didn't hear that. Keep skanking.
I was in a ska band once. Anyway, I'm going to put this in B tier because it was fun to rag on it, but it was just too bad for anybody to even finish. Moving on, another Irish selection, The Bostonians by Henry James. I enjoyed this book a lot. This is the kind of a
confession, I didn't finish it. Yeah. I was like really hoping to love it, but I got bored and put it down. I probably will finish it eventually because I think I was just being impatient and stoopy.
Yeah, it's kind of a satire on the suffrage movement from James, who is kind of a loving satire, but I think he was personally kind of ambivalent about suffrage. It's Henry James. It's not going to be terrible. I don't think it's the best James, even though I'm not like a James expert. Yeah, that can be a C tier. If you like this book, by the way, shout out Night and Day by Virginia Woolf, which is the one that nobody reads, but is also a satire on suffrage, and I think a superior book. Moving on, in the tradition of terrible Cathode Book Club selections, Helen Garner's Monkey Grip Yeah, this one was bad. I nominated this so we would hit all the inhabited continents. It's an Australian book. Turns out Australians are just illiterate. Um, yeah, it's kind of the story of a woman who's a very clear author self insert and her love affair with a man who is addicted to heroin and he loves her, but he loves heroin more. And that just kind of keeps cycling for 300 pages and then the book ends. And yeah, I don't think most people finished it.
I did not read it.
Yeah, gonna give this an F to be honest. Sorry, Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, yeah. Yeah, kind of boring. Some parts were nicely written, but yeah, kind of fun if you care deeply about Melbourne counterculture in the 60s, I guess. Um, I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We haven't had the best Australian representation in this Discord so far.
it's true. There have been
Like, all of the goodwill that Steve Irwin built up has been stripped away by the behavior of Australians on this Discord and the Australian rep. But I'm still open to falling back in love with the Dananda.
Yeah. Australia has a lot to answer for. Anyway, Aliens and Anorexia. I think Squed nominated this one. Good show, Squed. This is a pretty good book.
I really liked it. I liked it very much.
Yeah. It's kind of it's your standard Chris Kraus autofiction type deal. She talks about
it was just fucking rambling, and it was a mess, but it was a really intriguing mess.
Yeah, is mostly the actual plot is about her making a bad movie based on a Simone Weil book. Uh, I kind of I have a lot of respect for like putting the most humiliating experience you've ever had in your life dragged out over several years and putting that in a book and selling it.
And then also making us just like also read the bad script, not even just the story, but yeah, show me your humiliation.
Yeah. Shout out Chris Kraus. I haven't read I Love Dick yet. Yeah, this would be a very I'm sure the title of this book has dragged in a lot of disappointed high school students. Next up.
I haven't read I Love Dick either. Maybe that's next.
Yeah, I got to get to that. Next up, Leslie Feinberg's Stone Butch Blues. I thought this was a really good book club book.
Bangering.
It's a banger.
It's a seminal text.
It is a seminal text in queer literature. It's again very semi-autobiographical story.
So this is a seminal text.
Iris with the combo breaker. Story of the life of a butch lesbian woman in growing up and working and living in Buffalo, New York in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, I'm gonna give it an A. Yeah, very, very important book to a lot of people, especially a lot of people in this particular Discord for whatever reason. I really liked it. What I remember about this one is that I said something about like there's a lot of kind of supernatural content in this book that I thought was really strange and intriguing. And I said that, and Pancakes was basically like, no, there isn't. You're wrong.
That's what?
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And I read her other book, Penance, and it had a similar theme. I think she's into the whole, like, myths, but like in a contemporary, teeny way. I think her writing can be a little juvenile sometimes, but I did like it overall.
Yeah, I think it's, again, kind of like this fiction journalism. Like, the point is, like, this is what living this life was like. And now you've read the book, and now you know. So it's very, very kind of almost journalistic in style. Anyway, good book. Moving on. Boy Parts by Eliza Clark.
Oh, that's what I was just talking about.
Oh my God.
I was saying writing juvenile about Leslie Feinberg.
Oh my goodness.
Redact. Okay. Redact and shift. No.
I tried to walk it back for you.
I thought we were already on Boy Parts. That's my opinion for Boy Parts, that I felt like it was a little bit juvenile sometimes.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And I thought you were talking about the supernatural elements of this, because I feel like her character, there's always like a little bit of an edge of like myth to her writing.
Yeah, no, this one is kind of like mythical overtones, but in like Stonebridge Blues, she's just like, yeah, when I was born, the native family across the hall from me made an accurate augury about my life, and then later my friend met a ghost, and then later I went to visit my friend in the mental hospital, and there was a woman there who gave me another accurate augury. Anyway.
I can get why people didn't like it. I feel like it was just easy enough for me to like watching a mid TV show. So that's really not that's like a B level or C level book experience, but not the kind that like actively pisses me off. It's more like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, Boy Parts, I don't know. I liked it more than most people. We had some fun discussions about it. B tier.
I would give it a B.
All right.
I also would have put Stonebridge Blues in S tier, but I wasn't part of the discussion. So given that this is about, if we liked it, if we like talking about it, I can't contribute to that.
All right. No, I think it's an A. I don't think it was quite on the Season of Migration possession level, but it's a really good book. You should read it. Moving on. Freshwater by Akwe Zakawe. Oh, sorry. That's a completely different person. Akwaeke Emezi. This is a book about a young Nigerian immigrant to America who is possessed by several kind of demons or spirits of Nigerian folklore, and the book is told from their perspective, which is a cool setup, and it's really good for about half the book, and then it kind of just runs out of steam.
Did not read.
Yeah.
We're moving into the part of where Bexy was not as active, so I did not read the next 5.
Yeah. Bexy's job got real for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Muffins has the right of it. Good ideas, mid-execution. I don't remember any fun discussions about it. It's going in the D tier. We're moving on. We now enter the Amy era with the most depressing book about what life in post-war Austria is like that you can possibly imagine until 2 books later, when we read an even more depressing one. The Weight of Things by Mariana Fritz. This is an S tier book.
This is absolutely an S tier book, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. It's so good.
It's a very good book.
If anybody has not read it, then you need to go and you need to read it.
Okay.
And it's only like 150 pages. No, actually, I think maybe like 120. So you can definitely do it in like half a day. So high recommendations to this. We read this because I found out that this woman this is like the only book of hers that has been translated into English from German. And all of her other books are like literally like 10,000 page Finnegan Wake type bullshit that are just apparently never ever going to be translated ever. But this was like a really fun, really weird book that I definitely recommend. I think that the discussion was fun. We definitely talked. Everybody had some good points, and it's kind of the kind of book where talking about it really does make it better because everybody has different things that they're focusing on. But yeah, not that many of us read it. This is going to end up being kind of a theme in the Amy era. People hate my books. but that's fine.
Wow. Well, all right. I hope then you're going to step in and co-host stronger now, because I was one of those people who did not read.
Yeah, I think
this next one I also did not read. So
yeah, yeah. I think the fact that like only I think me and Amy and Iris read Weight of Things kind of knocks it down a tier, unfortunately. But it's a great book. You should read it. Maybe we should reprise it and force people to read it on pain of banning.
No, definitely. Okay, more than the three of us did, but it wasn't. I think I'm trying to think who else read it. Sam read it. I can't remember, but there was like a good 7 people or something who read it. I mean, it wasn't very long, so
yeah. Anyway, moving on to The Secret Life of Saeed the Pest Optimist by, who wrote this one? Emil Habibeh. I did not read this. Chat, tell me if this
did
one
not.
is good. Hunand? Squid, perhaps? Pancakes? It was pancakes?
This was a panko one. I read about 10 pages of this. It was good. So, that might be the most that anybody's read of this.
All right.
Yeah.
C tier until proven otherwise.
Well, if it's on the discussions, I don't think anybody discussed it, because apparently I'm the one who read it the longest who's still here.
Sorry.
That's when you know it's start time.
Yeah. It was not great. Okay. Yeah, discussion was not great. I didn't read it. Nobody else read it. D tier, moving on. Pure Color by Sheila Heti. I enjoyed this one pretty well. This is a sort of weird and allegorical story about tragic lesbians that's written in kind of a pretty way. Yeah, very cute. Canadian content. I'm always going to shill for that. This might be the only Canadian we've read in the book club, actually.
Wow, you need to start getting more Canadian recs in there.
Yeah, I guess I do.
You know, I like the cover. I did not read it, but I think I like the design of the cover, so maybe I should.
Yeah, it's a really pretty
yeah,
cover.
I mean, I thought it was nice. I didn't think that it was anything really mind-blowing, but I thought that it was cute, and the things that it was trying to do was cute. I do remember when Cardinal came in here, and I don't think that we had read it at that time, but I think she had read it and we mentioned it, and she went on this whole rant about how it's an evil book for evil people because it encourages people to not care about climate change somehow.
I do remember that. That was a weird conversation.
What the fuck was she talking about?
I don't know.
I still don't know to this day, but she went on this whole rant, and I was just kind of no, I don't think that's the case, actually. I think that it's kind of not that at all.
Yeah. I agree.
Very good feeling.
That was a strange interaction. Anyway, next book. Wonderful, Wonderful Times by Elf Jenkins. Is a devastating story about the horrors of life in post-war Austria. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
I like a certain kind of book. Is that illegal?
Not at all. Yeah.
I literally agree, Iris.
Okay, Iris thinks it's the best book club book of all time.
I'm biased, but...
Yeah. Okay.
Al Jenkins. She's really good.
Elf Jenkins.
Jellyneck. I have not read any of the Jellyneck, so I have to get started.
All right.
I would say that's honestly a good place to start. I thought that it was... Iris hates me for this opinion, but I think that it's really, really funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Sorry, say again?
It's a very funny book about fascism. I really enjoyed the book. My thing is okay, now I never need to never read another Austrian book again, or I'm gonna kill myself.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Man, don't audio shame us, Iris. We're doing our best, okay? The next one was
what they're there
Trilogy.
for.
It would be embarrassing if we had like podcast equipment. So this is actually way cooler.
Yeah, we're actually just all sitting in a phone booth in an airport right now. It's very, very packed in here. Next book, Trilogy by HD. I love this. This is one of my favorite books ever.
Yeah.
This is somehow the only poetry we've ever done in the book club.
So I wasn't on the Discord at this time. I didn't even know we read this, but I do personally really love this. I read it in college, and I agree it's one of my favorites, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, this is kind of...
I love HD.
It's so great. She's so good. I'm thinking of... Yeah, it is the only poetry. I'm thinking of making July like you can only nominate poetry.
I think
because
we should do that.
I'm sick of this bullshit.
All right. We kind of have too many S tiers, but I don't even care. That's an S tier book club.
I don't think four is too many S tiers, to be honest.
Well,
the balance is still good.
Well, we're not done yet, and there's going to be at least one more, as I think we all know. Yeah, the next one was The Palm Wine Drinkard by Amos Totola. This is a fun book. This is kind of a stitched together kind of folk stories. It kind of reads like a fix-up story for folk stories. That's pretty, I don't know, it's really fun. For me, kind of by the end of it, it started to drag a bit. I'm like, okay, I get it. But yeah, I think this was a fun one. Who nominated this one? This was Julius Big Naturals Caesar. Good nomination. Yeah, to me this kind of reads like a little bit like outsider art, which is, I think it's like very, very controversial to describe books as that. I think there's somebody who's arguing.
You're basically saying this bitch can't write.
No, yeah, it's not like, that's not what I'm saying. I think somebody argued in a article that I did not really follow that Virginia Woolf is an outsider writer.
That's completely insane.
Yeah. Anyway.
You can't be an outsider and be part of artist salons.
The
salon.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You sound, as I was pointing out, you sound like Mertzbo, but we can hear you.
Okay, so it's not better. Hold on.
Maybe
It's better.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then that's good, because I went and I grabbed my wife's ASMR mic
Very nice.
quickly. Yeah, this was a cute book. I liked it. I don't know how much, critical thought I have on it. I was just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Skulls.
Skulls. Oh yeah, the walking skulls part. That was crazy. Okay. B tier. Moving on. Mumbo Jumbo by Ishmael Reed. I think this was a Black History Month selection, which is kind of a weirdo postmodern story about a conspiracy to suppress boogie woogie music and the plague thereof that made people dance all over America, thereby threatening white supremacy.
So good.
Such a good book.
Ishmael Reed.
Yeah.
So fucking
I
good.
read it. It's pretty interesting. It feels like, pretty much a lot of this book, especially the first half, is just building up to the massive conspiracy, like the 1,000 Years conspiracy,
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Actually,
I missed this one.
It's a really good one. You should read it, Bexy. We also...
I actually did not read this during the... Because I think that I'm the one that nominated it, but I didn't actually read it during the thing. Because I read it I know. Because I had read it
illegal.
Oh yeah, no, never mind. Julie nominated it. I read it a year before and I didn't want to read it again. But it's really good.
Yeah.
So people should read it. And I thought that the discussion that everybody was having was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an easy A tier. Way back in the day for the nonfiction book club, we read The Signifying Monkey by Henry Gates Jr., which has a really long
Never
discussion of
forget.
this. Yeah. R.I.P. the nonfiction book club, which has, as foretold by prophecy, been taken over for Joe's Bible study. Yeah, next up, Marlon James.
It's been resurrected.
Yeah, it's been resurrected after on the third day. Next up was Marlon James's The Book of Night Women, which was bad. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one
I
who
started this and I was awful, and I was like 10 pages in and I was like, this sucks, so I just stopped.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
No.
I think
And I'm really mad at because fucking his book on Bob Marley is so good. Like, it's really, really good. Like, I'm mad that now this is everybody's exposure to Marlon James instead of his significantly better book.
Yeah. Yeah, that I've never read Marlon James before, and this was a bad start. Now I'm very suspicious of him. Yeah, so it's the story of a group of women who organize a slave rebellion in Jamaica in the 18th century, was it? Yeah, the big problem is it's not actually very interested in the enslaved women who are rebelling, and is more interested in their enslavers. And yeah, kind of in the end,
That sucks.
yeah, and in the end, it kind of seems like the main character is like keeps saying is like, oh, you're not actually motivated by freedom, you're just angry and you want to cause general mayhem. And in the end, she's right, and she spoilers, she like betrays the slave rebellion, shoots one of her friends in the face, and is rewarded with her semi-freedom. I was just like, what?
What the fuck?
What am I? What? I mean, I'm not here to woke scold Marlon James, but that's pretty fucking weird, right? Right? Not just me.
Women cause all the problems.
Yeah,
I'm being too hysterical.
I guess so. I mean, it's almost like if a white dude wrote this book, it would be a hate crime. But it's like the weird thing is that there is like so much emphasis on the fucked up torture aspects of plantation slavery in Jamaica, like so much
Of the women as well, specifically, because I mean,
Everybody.
you know.
like on like almost every page somebody's being tortured. This probably is like by volume of mayhem one of the most violent books I've ever read.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird, very strange. I don't know what he was trying to do. F tier book. F tier book club. Moving on. Our second annual April Fool's joke on me specifically was The Brazen Head by John Cooper Powys, who is easily the most insane person who has ever written anything. Yeah,
That's very true.
in January, Amy and Alderfern and I read Wolf Solent, which is kind of an accidental masterpiece. It's like trying to be a very serious sort of Thomas Hardy novel about John Cooper Powys's very obvious self-insert and his journey of self-discovery or some bullshit. But like the whole thing is like he's saying like, wow, don't you guys just hate it when sometimes you see a homeless person and your soul is contaminated by evil for the next 48 hours? You're like, what? Dude, what? What is wrong with you? This is his other book that was written when he was like 90 years old and had found what is described as an understanding publisher, and boy did he ever. It is so much worse. It's a historical novel about Roger Bacon and his making a head out of brass that can answer any question, I guess. It's legitimately incomprehensible for most of it. It's a really bad book. It is so much worse than Wolf Solent that Amy, who nominated it, could not finish or even be in the same room as it.
I literally got halfway through. I was so excited for this. I was like, it's going to be awful in a great way, and it was just awful in an awful way.
Yeah, it's really bad and depressing to read. There is a scene.
He's literally sundowning.
Yeah.
Writing the book, like it's very clear.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There was a scene where one of the characters animates the brazen head by putting her vagina on it. That was pretty entertaining. But aside from that, I cannot recommend.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a great scene. I forgot to mention about the Book of Night Women. Somebody puts laudanum on his dick by way of foreplay. So that was entertaining as well. That was my favorite scene. I have to imagine that would give you kind of an anesthetic effect. That doesn't seem like a good idea at all.
Right.
So anyway, the takeaway from this podcast, if you have one, is that you should never put laudanum on your dick.
Wait, does it go badly?
Takeaway.
No, it's just kind of mentioned in passing, and then we don't see what happened to the guy.
If you put laudanum on your dick, DM me.
All right, and the latest edition of the Sophisticated Homosexual Literary Circle, Paradise Logic by Sophie Kemp, S Tier Book Club. I don't think there can be any question about that. This is a great book. We actually tried to convince the author herself to come and join, and she didn't. She didn't, but she did describe the server as her ideal readers, a group of gorgeous, high IQ, high sex drive, maybe kind of spectrum-y e-girls, e-theys, which I think is the best thing that has ever happened, to be honest.
It's a very accurate description.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this book was really good, but I think that probably the best part book club-wise was the hype around it. Not only did basically everybody end up reading it, but everybody was so excited about it. And, it was like a topic, like, there's definitely ones on here that people liked and enjoyed, but they didn't become part of, like, server mythology, whereas I think that Paradise Logic will be part of that for a very long time. I would be extremely confused if people are not bringing up Paradise Logic in, like, a year.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a defining moment, for sure.
And also, greatest book cover of all time, Sam is right.
Greatest book cover of all time.
It is a great book cover.
It's in the book itself, the story of Reality Khan's quest to become the world's greatest girlfriend, as foretold by signs and portents, it's really amazing. It's a great book. The UK cover of Paradise Logic is a crime. Whoever published that
it's evil.
Yeah, they should be locked up. Yeah, great book. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of the first 30 editions of the Sophisticated Homosexual Literary Circle, and many happy returns. If you are somehow watching this on YouTube later, there will be a link in the description where you can join our crazy-ass server after you pass the brutal hazing ritual.
Join. We need more people. Not really, but I need more.
Come join, because Bexy needs more people in the server. And
we're going to have another 30 great books.
Exactly. Starting with Ulysses.
I didn't know this was part of our advertising campaign.
Oh, yeah,
now it makes more sense.
Battlefield. We got to do battle.
By next year, everybody will be coming through YouTube. All right.
Exactly.
This is Cathode Ray Jepson signing off.